Hi everyone! This week I'm exploring the encoding-specificity principle and how it helps explain why certain trauma cues can make both the mind and body react as if the past is happening again. This principle, introduced by Tolving and Thompson in 1973 and explained by Weisberg and Reeves 2013 in our textbook, says that we remember information best when the retrieval cues match those that were present when the memory was first encoded. These cues can be anything: sounds, smells, places, or even emotions. Memory isn't stored in isolation, it's stored in context. A simple example is remembering class material more easily when you study and test in the same environment. That's encoding specificity. When the context matches, retrieval improves. These environmental and emotional cues become part of how our memory is stored. But this concept also explains how domestic violence trauma shows up in everyday life. When someone lives with abuse, the brain encodes not just the events, but also the surrounding context, tone of voice, lighting, smells, sounds, and the physical sensations of fear. Later, when any of those cues reappear, the brain recognizes the match and retrieves the whole memory network, sometimes with strong emotional or body reactions. Sometimes cues from moments that were once dangerous reappear in safe environments, and the body reacts as if the threat remains. The body remembers what the mind wants to forget. For example, I've always loved music. I was even a vocal performance major when I first started college in 1995, and I still love going to see live shows. But in an abusive relationship with my oldest child's father, loud music often accompanied his drinking and violence. My brain encoded that combination of sound and fear together. Even though it's been over 11 years and I'm safe now, loud music can still kick my nervous system into overdrive. That's encoding specificity. The retrieval cue, loud music, matches the old context of earlier trauma and triggers my body's response as if danger is present before I can think it through. The hopeful part is healing. I can repair that same sound with safe context and build new associations. I've also noticed this with certain places. In 2015, I was living in Portland when I met the father of my two youngest children. He was living in Lincoln City on the Oregon coast. About 8 months later, while pregnant with our first child together, I moved there and lived in Lincoln City from 2016 to 2018. During that time, he was extremely abusive, and so many memories were formed there. Specific streets, the drive along Highway 101, walks on the beach, and even the smell of the ocean, all layered with fear and anxiety. In 2018, he moved back to Portland with me, and the following year, he returned to Lincoln City, but he continued to terrorize me from a distance. Then, in January 2021, he died. Even though years have passed, I still have not been able to drive back to Lincoln City. Sometimes even the drive from Portland toward the coast, passing through Newburgh or McMinnville, or even through Salem, can stir up anxiety for me. Those familiar roads and transitions now act as retrieval cues, reactivating sensations that my body encoded during that period of trauma. Even thinking about that drive can make my heart race and my chest tighten because the environmental cues, the scenery, the route, the anticipation, mirror the ones present when those memories were formed. That's encoding specificity in action, when the context matches the memory network and the body's protective response can light up before I even realize why. Research supports this connection between memory cues and trauma responses. Berry and colleagues 2021 found that trauma affects how we retrieve autobiographical memories. When cues are emotionally charged, recall can become overgeneral as a protective mechanism. Jones Christensen and colleagues 2025 showed how trauma affects both cognitive and physical systems, often leading to hyperarousal or body based reactions when survivors encounter familiar environmental cues. Anderson and colleagues 2025 explored the public strong identification with body stored trauma, showing how deeply the connection between body and memory runs. And as Vander Kolk 2014 wrote in his book, The Body Keeps the Score, and the encoding-specificity principle helps us understand why those reactions feel so powerful. So, where does this leave me? Understanding encoding specificity helps me see these reactions as protective, not pathological. It shows that my memory system is doing its job, flagging when current cues resemble past threats to keep me safe. Through therapy, grounding, and new positive associations, like listening to music in safe spaces or creating peaceful, supported drives to the coast, I can help my brain relearn that those same cues now mean calm, safety, and freedom. Here are the studies that inform my discussion today and support the connection between memory, trauma, and the body. And with that, thank you so much for listening. I hope this connects cognitive science to how survivors genuinely experience memory and healing. This month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I just want to take a moment to remind anyone who may be struggling that you are not alone. Help is available 24/7 at the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Call 1-800-799-SAFE. Text START to 88788 or check out their website at thehotline.org.